Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Today's video is going to be a 5-foot bathroom vanity with 2 side cabinets. I initially didn't think I was going to even video this whole setup, but I ended up did, and I had already put the legs together, so pretty much just starting from the beginning. I took a 2x4, ripped it down on each side to get the curve off of the side. I've done this with the legs and the side of the vanity that you just seen. And so pretty much, like I said, I ripped it down to 3 1/4 and then 3, and of course sanded it. And then the side of the vanity was a piece of birch, 3/4 birch that was 19 inches by 30 inches, or yeah, 30 inches tall. So 19 by 30. And you saw the pocket holes with a little bit of glue to attach those to the side. And then the face of that, which I'll dig back into a little bit in the video, I just used some 1x3s and done that. And then so moving into the side cabinet, so this part probably took the longest of the whole build. This is the longest segment of the build for sure. So this is the same concept as I just said. My customer wanted some more detail into the side cabinets instead of them just being just straight regular normal side cabinets or whatever. So so each one of these pieces was, I think both of these cabinets stood about 6 foot tall, maybe 7 foot tall. And so I just used the same concept as I just explained with the side vanity. This is actually the back, and so I'm just really prepping it for the sides to go on. So I used the 2x3s, of course, sanded everything down, attached the back as you just seen, so everything is flat across the top. And then so this is each side. You can see I used my CNC machine to drill the little pinholes. So he only wanted pinholes on the inside of the upper cabinet and the inside of the lower cabinet. And so that's what I did. So I had to do some quick math in my head when I was working on the drawing itself. And so I attached those with pocket holes on the outside because I knew that this will later, I'll come back and trim this out on the outside, so I don't have to worry with that later. And while I have a second, please like and subscribe to the channel. I'm really trying to get these videos out. I do apologize for this being not in landscape mode. This was the last video that I shot. I shot this before someone told me that it was not in landscape mode, so I do apologize for that. But every video going forward after this one should be in landscape mode. And so I'm working on a set of cabinets that will go out soon. And then this video is a pretty lengthy video. The cabinet video probably it might surpass an hour in footage, so we'll see. Like I said, I'm currently working on that. Hopefully that turns out pretty good. So, but please like and subscribe to the channel. The channel's really growing. But jumping back into the video, same concept as kind of what the back was. More pocket holes on the bottom, on the top. Once again, these are on the outside so that these cannot be seen when you open any kind of door on the inside. And of course I use Top Bond glue to attach all of this. And so I left about a 3-inch gap at the bottom, just so each cabinet, as you saw in the initial little short video in the beginning, that each cabinet is off the floor just a little bit. And if there's any other projects, I try to get some random projects out. So just drop a comment below to let me know what you like, what you've seen. So that was the trim. So I used pocket holes to attach each one of those pieces, and then an 1.25 inch screw to attach those to the outside. And as you can see, this is a part of the face. You see the 1x3 at the top and the 1x3 at the bottom. The one on the bottom is about 3 inches off the ground. That's the same on the front and the back. I'd cut in an initial piece. You see I just kick with my right foot. That piece will later come in when I put the inside of the cabinet in. I didn't know where the inside of the cabinet was going to end up being. So but here I cut some 1.5 inch strips, and I wanted the drawers. So I wanted the sinks I thought these were initially going to be drop-in sinks, so I was trying to give the customer about 20 inches of room between for the sink to sit. And so that's kind of how I measured it off, and the inside ended up being about 12 inches for the drawers. And so, like I said, this was about a 60 inch vanity. So 20 inches for each sink to the left and to the right, and then about 12 inches down the middle for the drawers. And then so going from there, once I get those pocket holes in, so here, this is me. So below each cabinet, there was a small cubby, and so I really start from the bottom and work my way up, so that I know where to put everything. I have to draw a line for where the shelf has to be, and so on, and then make sure all this is stained before I start any of the inside, so I don't get stain on the inside. And so these were about 7 inches or so. I think it was 7 inches of room, actual room. Do that on each side, and then I come back and put pretty much a splitter down the middle, is what I'm going to call it. It's just going to separate each door. Try to find my middle is what I'm doing here. Find the exact middle, find the middle of the 1.5 inch piece of wood that I'm going to put there, and then so on. Like I said, this is just making the doors. And in the past, I have mismeasured this part and really messed myself up when it comes to the doors, because once you get the doors glued and together, it's really hard. I mean, it's almost impossible. You have to either you get something that has to be redone, so make sure you measure all this stuff twice. And so this is a piece. The reason this piece has to go here is because you have to have something for the door, inside the door, to mount to. Then it has to have room to swing open. And so here I'm just adjusting everything to make sure that everything is exactly equal. And so you have that piece to the right, like that was about 1 inch piece, because the doors, remember, the doors 3/4 thick, and so that has to be at least that. I usually just do 1 inch, and then I find the middle of that, and that will be the middle of where the door needs to be, if that makes sense. If you ever have any questions, just drop a comment below. I'm usually pretty quick to respond to comments. Vanities are one of those things. It's my best selling product. If you ever want me to do a cost breakdown of what I sell these vanities for, if you ever want me to add that to the video, I'll more than glad. It's gonna range greatly by state. I'm in Alabama, things are a little cheaper, so this vanity is going to sell for a lot more in, say, New York. My customer came from Nashville, Tennessee. He drove down and got this vanity with 2 side cabinets. So, but once you can see the 2 cabinet doors, how everything's kind of lining up. And then so what I'm doing now in the middle is going to be each drawer. So I wanted the bottom drawer to be equal to the little cubbies underneath, just a little bit bigger. Then he wanted 3 drawers above that, so they're going to be much smaller drawers. They end up being about 4 inches tall. So I had to make sure, lay my pieces out, and then you don't have to make this too difficult when it comes to measuring, even though I'm scratching my head a little bit. But make sure all these pieces are equal. Like I said, those drawers end up being about 12 inches wide. So I always face clamp everything. I've had this face clamp for years. Probably could get a new one, but hey, it works. So, and like I said, all this was sanded down previously. I sand down every single piece before I even attach it, instead of coming back and trying to sand it once it's attached. Since I've got my Festool sander, I've had to change the way I sand things. So I use Serious Grit sandpaper, which is not a sponsor for the video, but I use 180 grit for everything, and then I'll come back and touch it up with 220 after, once it's all together. Okay, so now jumping back into the side cabinet. So this is the face for the side cabinet, and so really I was just trying to, I wanted the bottom door to be as tall as the vanity. And so I had to do some math in my head of where the top of that needed to be to get the door exactly to the top of the top of the vanity. And so once I'd done that, to the top of the vanity is about just 33 3/4. And then so I had to do the math for the face. Then I just used pocket holes, 1.5 inch strip, and I had to pocket hole all the pieces in between. Then I had to pocket hole the long pieces you see there to go into the side of the side cabinets to attach the face, because remember I have those 2x4s as the legs. And so there's really no other way to attach those unless you glued it in there and clamped it and let it dry. But I added glue and I used pocket holes. And so, like I said, each one of these is exactly the same. Each side cabinet, the bottom door ended up being just a little bit larger than the top door, which he was perfectly okay with. And I think it was about a 2-inch difference between the bottom door and the top door. And then so he wanted one drawer in the middle on the bottom, and then he wanted a small cubby above that. And so really I try to make those as equal as possible without taking away too much from the top door. I said all this was the vanity. I've built hundreds of the vanity, so I already knew what I was doing there. But this particular side cabinet was the first time that I've ever built a side. I've built other side cabinets, but one of this design was the first time I ever built this design. So jumping into attaching, as I had recalled, I'd put a pocket hole where on the face frame where the horizontal pieces meet the vertical pieces. That's where I put a pocket hole, just so that you couldn't see the end of the pocket hole whenever any of the doors were open. And so you can see me there's 4 or 5 pocket holes, or I think there's 4 pocket holes per side, so 8 total. It's like I said, added just a little bit of glue. Really, it's not needed, but it's it helps hold everything. And then so once I get all of those pocket holes in, or once I get all of those screws in, again, these are probably 1.25 inch pocket hole screws. Get all those in, the face is on. So moving on, jumping back to the vanity, I really jumped back and forth a lot on this build. I had a very short time frame to get it done, but the top is just pine pocket hole glued and screwed together as shown. It's about 24 inches deep, and in the meantime I stained the vanity itself and the side cabinet before I could do any of the inside. And so really this is the bottom shelf. So pocket holes on the bottom. I attached the front first, or attached the front corner to get everything nice and square. And so here I just measured the distance that I needed for the bottom shelf, and then I come back and I attach the side. So I put these on the inside for the drawer, so I don't have to add any small pieces on there. And so then I put all the pocket holes on the inside again, so that when you open the door you don't see any type of pocket holes. And this was stained it was a lighter mixture of the Special Walnut by Minwax. And so once I get those pocket holes in, so all those sides are on, so now I can come back and I went ahead and I stained the inside of the cabinet you see there, and then I attached the middle shelf. The middle shelf goes in the exact same as the bottom cubby shelf, it's just not stained. And then that piece of pine that I had mentioned in the beginning, this is where I can come back and attach this, just so that nobody kicks anything off into the back and it falls behind the vanity. And so you could do this a full sheet of birch, to make all this solid in the back. Whoever the plumber is has to come back and drill holes through there to make room for the plumbing to come through the birch. I just find it easier just to leave it open I might change my ways one day, but as of right now, this is how all the vanities are built. So as you can see there's the vanity practically finished, the face and all. And then so really getting back into finishing, getting all the insides of these finished. So each one of these shelves, they're all put in the same. So there's a top, there's a bottom here, there's a very top, there's a shelf in the cubby part of it, and then there's a shelf above the drawer. So all these go in literally all the same pocket holes. The only difference is inside the cubby, obviously you can see that little bit of stain in there. That's where the cubby is. And like I said, make sure I draw all that in there before and stain it before I actually put it together, because it's just much easier to do it that way. So again, more pocket holes. If you hadn't realized, I pocket hole a lot of things, but if it works, it works. And so once I got all of those shelves put in, it was time to come back and work on the drawer boxes. And so the drawer boxes, I bought all my slides in bulk. They're 16-inch drawer slides. And then so I knew these were going to be on the front. And so I come back and put in the provided screws. And I usually use a little block. I've mentioned it before in my other videos, so if you're a follower, you've heard this before, but I have a little, just pretty much a chop block, or sometimes I'll use a square, just to give myself the same symmetrical room on both sides. Same thing here, you can see that little bit of a gap. It's usually about 1 inch tall on both sides. And then so I get all the drawer slides put in. Then it's time to move on to other things. And so here I'm working on the cabinet doors. I'm working on a set of cabinets now that I'll probably release a video of how I do the doors on a table saw, but I'm just using my Craig door hinge bit to tap in all of the hinges on the back. As you can see here, I do the pieces for where the screws will go in. I do that first, then I come back and I do the middle part where the hinge actually sits in. These things that Craig piece has really saved my life. And so once I got where I wanted the door handles to put on, like I said, I come back, I do all these at the same time, just so I guess I'm just lazy and don't want to have to swap out my bit all the time. So but once I attach the board hinge, or whatever this thing's called, and I do each one of those, you can see it drills a nice, perfect, it's deep, it's a big Fortuner bit, it's pretty much what it is. And so drill that in, wipe everything off, and then I come back and attach the provided screws that go with that. And like I said, I'll make a whole nother video sooner rather than later on exactly how I do the doors. And so that each door is done on the table saw, as I mentioned before. And so attach to the provided hardware and so on, and then attach it to the door with the Phillips head screw. Once I get all the doors put on, the cabinet doors, and I also had done the faces to the drawer boxes as well as I've done the cabinet door, so that everything lines up perfect. And so here again, I've done 1,000 drawer boxes so far. I've done them all the same, no issues yet. Some glue, some brad head nails, whatever, 4 or 5 in each one. Do the sides, make a box. It's pretty simple. People I've got asked before why I don't do I don't know what the joints, finger joints or whatever they're called. I was just like, I don't know, I've always done it this way, never had any issues. So until then, you know, I'm just gonna keep doing it like this. But I usually add 1 or 2 brad nails on each side, sometimes 3 depending on how tall the box is. And then I come back once I get the box built. I can add this is the square also. As you can see, I put it down, line up the drawer slide on top of it. Again, you can set the drawer box on the inside and do it. I just do it like this. And so pop the box in, and then I use an inch screw to attach those to the inside as shown here. Then I use the same square, and I know these are the gap to get the gap right. Each piece of wood that separates the drawers are about 1.5 inches, and so I use the ruler to decide, how the spacing in between these, and so on. And so pretty much the whole vanity and the side cabinet is done, minus attaching the top here. I really hope you enjoyed. Like I said, if you have any questions below, please comment below. Thank you for watching. Like I said, this pocket holes attached to the top. Thank you.